Napoleon Bonaparte. The name echoes through history. He was a man of contradictions, brilliant strategist, ruthless dictator, reformer and emperor. His story began far from the gilded halls of power on the rugged island of Corsica in 1769. Corsica, a Mediterranean island, was a place of conflict. Napoleon's family of minor nobility found themselves caught in the crossfire. This turbulent environment shaped the young Napoleon, instilling in him ambition and a thirst for power. He devoured books on history and military strategy, dreaming of glory. Little did anyone know this island boy would rise to command armies, conquer empires, and leave an indelible mark on the world. His journey began amidst revolution, a storm that would sweep across France and provide the opportunity for his meteoric rise. France was a powder keg of social unrest in the late 18th century. The French Revolution ignited in 1789, toppling the monarchy and plunging the nation into chaos. Napoleon, a young artillery officer, saw his chance. He distinguished himself in early campaigns, his tactical brilliance evident on battlefields across Europe. His star continued to rise. Napoleon's victories in Italy against Austria secured his reputation. He was a master of maneuver, using speed and surprise to outwit his enemies. His soldiers adored him, inspired by his courage and charisma. France, weary of revolution and yearning for stability, saw in Napoleon a savior. He seized his moment, returning from Egypt in 1799 to stage a coup d'état, establishing himself as first consul of France. Napoleon's ambition knew no bounds. He had tasted power and he craved more. Napoleon consolidated his power, crushing internal dissent and securing his borders. He embarked on a series of wars that engulfed Europe. From the plains of Italy to the fields of Egypt, his armies marched, carrying the ideals of the French Revolution: liberty, equality, fraternity, at the point of a bayonet. His victories were swift and decisive. Napoleon's military genius was undeniable. He reorganized the French army, implementing innovative tactics and strategies. But he was more than just a conqueror. Napoleon saw himself as a modernizer, an enlightened despot. He introduced the Napoleonic Code, a legal system that enshrined many of the revolution's principles, spreading its influence across Europe. The Battle of Austerlitz, fought on December 2, 1805, stands as a testament to Napoleon's tactical brilliance. He faced a formidable coalition, Austria and Russia, determined to crush his growing empire. The odds seemed stacked against him, yet Napoleon remained undeterred. The battle raged for hours. Napoleon, with masterful precision, lured his enemies into a trap, feigning weakness before unleashing a devastating counterattack. The Allied armies crumbled before the French onslaught. Austerlitz was a resounding victory for Napoleon, cementing his reputation as the foremost military commander of his age. It was a triumph that resonated across Europe. Napoleon had humbled emperors, dictated terms to kings, and reshaped the political landscape of the continent. He stood at the zenith of his power, the sun of Austerlitz shining brightly upon his burgeoning empire. Section 5 of the Spanish Ulcer, guerrilla warfare, and the drain on French mind. Napoleon's conquests came at a cost. His empire, vast and sprawling, was plagued by unrest. Nowhere was this more evident than in Spain. Napoleon's attempt to install his brother Joseph on the Spanish throne ignited a fierce resistance. The Spanish people, fiercely independent, resorted to guerrilla warfare, ambushing French patrols, sabotaging supply lines, and making the country ungovernable. The Peninsular War, as it became known, became a quagmire for Napoleon, draining French resources and manpower. It was a war unlike any Napoleon had fought before. He was accustomed to facing armies on open battlefields, not shadows in the mountains. The Spanish resistance, fueled by national pride and religious fervor, proved a constant thorn in his side. Section 6. The Russian Winter, a campaign of hubris and devastation. Emboldened by his successes, Napoleon embarked on his most ambitious campaign yet, the invasion of Russia in 1812. He assembled a grand army, over 600,000 strong, a force the likes of which Europe had never seen. The Russian campaign was a disaster from the start. Napoleon's armies marched across the vast Russian steppes, harassed by Cossack cavalry and hampered by logistical nightmares. The Russians, employing a scorched earth policy, retreated deeper into their vast territory. denying Napoleon the decisive victory he craved. The Russian winter proved even more formidable than the Tsar's armies. Temperatures plummeted, supplies dwindled, and Napoleon's Grand Army, once invincible, was decimated by cold, starvation, and disease. The retreat from Russia was a harrowing ordeal, a testament to the folly of Napoleon's ambition. Section 7. Leipzig's bloody toll, the beginning of the end. The disastrous Russian campaign emboldened Napoleon's enemies. Across Europe, coalitions formed, determined to break the French Empire. Napoleon, his forces depleted, faced a resurgent Prussia, Austria, Russia, and Great Britain. The Battle of Leipzig, fought in October 1813, was one of the largest battles in history, involving hundreds of thousands of soldiers. It was a brutal, bloody affair, a three-day struggle that left the battlefield littered with the dead and dying. Napoleon, outnumbered and outmaneuvered, suffered a crushing defeat. Leipzig marked a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars. The myth of Napoleon's invincibility was shattered. He retreated back to France, his enemies hot on his heels. The walls were closing in on the once mighty emperor. Section 8. Waterloo, the final stand, and a crushing defeat. Napoleon's days were numbered. He faced a Europe united against him, determined to see him toppled from power. He made a desperate attempt to rally his forces, but the odds were stacked against him. His final stand came at Waterloo, a small village in present-day Belgium. On June 18, 1815, Napoleon's forces clashed with the Allied armies under the Duke of Wellington. The battle raged for hours, a back-and-forth struggle for supremacy. Just when it seemed Napoleon might snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, Prussian forces arrived, tipping the balance against him. Waterloo was a disaster for Napoleon, a crushing defeat that marked the end of his reign. He was forced to abdicate, his empire crumbling around him. Napoleon, the once invincible emperor, was now a prisoner of fate. Section 9. Exile in St. Helena, Reflections of an Emperor. Napoleon's enemies, fearful of his return, decided to exile him to a remote island in the South Atlantic, St. Helena. He arrived on October 15, 1815, a prisoner on a lonely rock, his dreams of empire dashed. The years on St. Helena were a time of reflection for Napoleon. He dictated his memoirs, justifying his actions, painting himself as a victim of circumstance. He reminisced about his victories, lamented his defeats, and railed against the injustice of his fate. Napoleon, the emperor who had once held the fate of Europe in his hands, died in exile on May 5, 1821, at the age of 51. The cause of death remains a subject of debate, but his legacy continues to fascinate and inspire. Section 10. Legacy of the Emperor, Napoleon's enduring impact. Napoleon Bonaparte left an indelible mark on history. He was a man of contradictions, a brilliant military strategist, a ruthless dictator, a reformer, and an emperor. His conquests redrew the map of Europe, spreading the ideals of the French Revolution, while his ambition ultimately led to his downfall. Napoleon's legacy is complex and multifaceted. He was a polarizing figure, revered by some as a hero, condemned by others as a tyrant. His military genius is undeniable, his impact on European law and administration profound. He left behind a legacy of both progress and destruction, a testament to the enduring power of ambition and the fickle hand of fate. Napoleon's story continues to captivate, a reminder that history is not just a collection of dates and names, but a tapestry woven from the lives of extraordinary individuals who shape the world we live in today.